Now, we're recording this Friday, right around noon, and Matthew Whitaker, the acting Attorney General, is still testifying before the House Judiciary Committee. If that's the word you want to use. I cannot get past this guy's appearance. I can't. He does look to me like he stepped right out of central casting in Hollywood when they want somebody to be a prison camp guard or a death camp guard. That's what this Matthew Whitaker looks like to me. Now, to add to the uncomfortable feeling I get when I look at him, and I think this is acting, but this is the Attorney General of the United States. Sitting right behind him at this hearing are two guys who also came out of central casting. They look like, I don't know what they look like. They look like CIA killers. These two men who are sitting behind him, one on each side, with the massive heads, just like him. This must be a requirement to work for Trump. You got to have a massive head. And these two guys sitting behind Whitaker at the witness table are scary as hell. They look like the kind of people you would find in some Eastern European dictatorship after the Russians pulled out and the Americans pulled out and the locals took over. And that's what they look like. I mean, it's horrifying. And then Whitaker has been sitting there looking around the room when the members of Congress on the committee are asking him questions. Granted, some of those questions are long-winded. But Whitaker, he's doing everything from playing with paper clips to picking his teeth to looking around to taking a drink to shuffling papers. And the part to me that was really spooky was when he informed Gerald Nadler, the chairman of that committee, that his 5 minutes were up. I mean, that takes balls that can only be part of someone's anatomy who knows that the capo di tutti capo, the head of the mafia, Donald Trump, is behind you. Nadler kept insisting Whitaker say whether he had approved investigative steps taken by Mueller. And Whitaker kept trying to dodge the question. Whitaker then said, "Mr. Chairman, I see that your 5 minutes is up." Eventually, Whitaker relented and answered Nadler's question. You don't do that in front of a congressional committee unless you know you can do anything because the person you work for is the head gangster. Does anybody else get this? I don't hear anybody on these talk television programs on MSNBC or CNN make the comparison or the reference that I make here, that this is a fucking criminal gangster organization, that it's modeled on a mafia family, Trump is, that, I mean, just go to the Godfather movies, and see who the Godfather had in positions of power in his criminal family. His son, his son-in-law, his daughter, his cousin, I mean, this is how it's done because of that idea that blood is thicker than water. And semen is thicker than blood. That's the other part of that, in case you didn't know. So to mafioso, you have your family, literal family members, like Trump, in positions of advice, power, and they work quietly behind the scenes. Now, Donald Trump Jr. is a loudmouth prick. He really is. He would have been silenced a long time ago in a real mafia family. Who does he resemble from the Godfather series? Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the characters. It was so long ago. But anyway, I don't hear anybody make the obvious observation about these people. this Trump organization. How fucking criminal it is, which is the reason that Trump has refused. And that refusal is about to come to a screaming halt. Well, maybe a long drawn-out halt, but a refusal to divulge the financial trickery and deception and criminal activity that is in his background. You know it is. And you know it, the prima facie evidence that it is criminal activity is the fact that this idiotic fuck will not release anything. He doesn't want his brain-dead followers to understand what a thug he is. Anyway, Matthew Whitaker said today, and we'll have more of this next hour, because we're right in the process of the hearings now. He said he hadn't spoken to Trump about the special counsel investigation since he took over at the Justice Department in November. If you fucking believe that, stick around, and I promise you I'm going to show you how I can walk on the ceiling upside down and not fall and kill myself. Everybody connected to Trump, starting with Trump, everybody connected to him is a complete liar. They will lie, they lie about anything and everything. That's the nature of mafioso outside the family. You don't tell anybody anything. Fuck them. Fuck the law enforcement. The people who are outside the family, who have no business knowing anything, the code of omerta, silence, is what they live by outside the family. From the opening minutes of a hearing before the House Judiciary Committee, here's some notes. Whitaker was pressed by Democrats to explain his role in overseeing Mueller's investigation of Russian interference in our election in 2016, which we know fucking happened. Every single intelligence agency available to the American people or the president or the Congress have all said, yeah, you're goddamn right it happened, and it happened seriously and severely. And the only people who don't believe that are the people who listen to the sewer that is right-wing media in this country, starting with Alex Jones and working all the way down to the bottom of the sewer where the muck is, where Sean Hannity lives. All of those people who I don't know what they get. What the fuck do they gain by perpetrating out-and-out lies and the sickest fucking conspiracy theories? What is it? Other than their desire to be part of a fascist government. That's the only payoff these scumbums could possibly get. Like Limbaugh and Ann Coulter and Hannity and the rest of these pigs. The only payoff that's available to them as shit stirrers, doing everything they can to disrupt a democratic process, small d, to get things done in our attempts to self-govern. The only thing they could gain would be to wind up, when all this is over, in their wild, wet dream fantasies, that they would be included in the circles of power to run the fascist United States of America. That's the only thing I can think of. It can't be money. Some of these fuckers have more money than Midas. Maybe it's just their twisted, sick minds. Maybe that's it. Whitaker made clear at the outset that he would not talk about his conversations with Trump. And that's right about the same time he said he had no conversations with Trump about Mueller's investigation. I mean, even as they lie, they continue to expose their lies to anyone's paying attention. And that's another thing. I don't know why members of Congress, I guess there's some rules or protocols or whatever, but if I were on one of these congressional committees and I heard some little fucker like Matthew Whitaker giving me the bullshit lines, I think I would say to him, Whitaker, you're lying. Tell the fucking truth. You're under oath. Now, maybe there's some kind of rules against saying shit like that. Anyway, when Whitaker said he wouldn't talk about his conversations with the head of the crime family, that led quickly to a contentious exchange between Whitaker and Nadler. And Nadler is he's the chairman of the committee. He's a Democrat from New York. He's known Trump since Trump was a little shithead, screwing people out of their money, their rents, telling black folk or people of color in general, get the fuck out of here, I'm not going to rent to you. I mean, Nadler knows Trump. Nadler knows Trump. Whitaker said, quote, I will continue the long-standing executive branch policy and practice of not disclosing information that may be subject to executive privilege, such as the contents or of deliberations or conversations with the president. I wonder who wrote that for him. Whitaker said his tenure as acting attorney general has not altered the course of Mueller's investigation. But that's not that's not the question. You see, that's what mafia do back in the day when they finally brought to trial or being questioned by the FBI. They would answer questions that the agent or the attorney had not just asked, which gave the illusion, well, I'm answering your question, dumping all kinds of innocuous, superfluous bullshit information in place of a simple yes or no or three-sentence answer. This is what they do. My tenure as acting attorney general has not altered the course of Robert Mueller's investigation. Fucker, that's not what I asked you. I asked you what you discussed with Trump about all of them. I'm yelling. Whitaker said, this was in his prepared remarks, he said, quote, there has been no change in the overall management of the special counsel investigation. Well, there doesn't have to be, and here's why. What Whitaker has been, and this is the reason Trump appointed him, Whitaker is privy to every fucking thing Mueller is doing. Because ultimately, it is Whitaker to whom Mueller has to answer, has to get permission to pursue a different line of questioning or a different investigation. So Whitaker has been a pipeline right back to Trump. Whitaker is a snitch. He's a little weasel fucker. Well, he's big. He's a big, bald-headed, Nazi fucking mafia weasel. He's a jamoke. He gets information. Oh, what's he doing now? Oh, really? Let me see the... Okay. And then he runs to asshole and reports on what's going on. In his prepared remarks, Whitaker said, I have and will continue to manage this investigation in a manner that is consistent with the governing regulations. There's nothing in the regulations, I am reasonably certain, that says the Attorney General of the United States, acting or whatever the fuck he is, the Attorney General of the United States will not discuss with the man who appointed him, the President of the United States, anything that's going on in an investigation overseen by the Attorney General of the United States. If you believe that, once again, stick around. I'm going to be walking on the ceiling in a few minutes. That's bullshit. There's no regulation. What do I know? I'll guarantee you there's no regulation that says the Attorney General cannot discuss an ongoing investigation with the President of the United States, no matter who the target or the subject of that investigation is. So when he says, I have and will continue to manage this investigation in a manner that is consistent with the governing regulations, okay. But that's not what Nadler and other members of this committee are trying to find out. Nadler repeatedly pressed Whitaker to explain what he had been told about the special counsel investigation and what he has told others. Others being, let me think, Donald Trump. Whitaker said, quote, and here's where the fucking lies, I have not talked to the President of the United States about the special counsel's investigation. He added that he also hadn't talked to White House officials about the inquiry, that Whitaker, anything about the inquiry. That he hadn't talked to anybody. I mean, please. He wouldn't say when or how often he has been briefed on the investigation. As Nadler kept insisting Whitaker say whether he had approved investigative steps taken by Mueller, the acting Attorney General, Whitaker, tried to dodge those questions too. And that's when he said, Mr. Chairman, I see your 5 minutes is up. I mean, what the fuck? Like I said, that kind of a statement from a witness in front of a congressional committee could only come from someone who knows that not only is he a made man in the criminal organization, the Trump Mafia, not only is Whitaker a made man, but he has the personal protection, not just of the bylaws of the Mafia. You don't fuck with a made man unless you get permission to do so from the head of the family and anyone else who needs to sit in on a decision as to whether or not you're a made man, whether or not you can off another made man. All these decisions are made ultimately by the chief honcho, Donald Trump. So Whitaker knows he can tell Nadler to go fuck his own mother if he felt like it, and Nadler could do nothing. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.